Welcome to 5 Dubs by MDDC Press. I'm your host, Rebecca Snyder, the Executive Director of the Maryland, Delaware, and DC Press Association, which represents news media in our region. 5 Dubs focuses on the who, what, when, where, and why of local news media. We'll talk with the journalists about the stories behind the news. You can find more information about our guests in the show notes or on our website, www.5-dubs.com. Welcome. Today we are heading into another one of our best moves, a deep dive, and I'm delighted to have Brittany Hamilton, the ad director for the Frederick News Post, and Connie Hastings, the regional ad director for Ogden Publications, in the studio. So welcome, friends.
Welcome. Thank you.
So we, for our listeners who aren't always clicked into what the best moves are, each year MDDC, as part of our contest, asks entrants to nominate themselves for the best move that they had in the contest year. So we're looking at 2025 in that calendar year, and that best move could really be anything. It's meant to highlight something that the nominator feels was a step forward for sustainability or journalism, or to make their organization the best it could be. And so I want to hear about the Frederick News Post's best move for 2025. Who wants to take
Awesome.
it?
So, our best move you would normally think of as a step forward, but ours was actually kind of a step backward.
Mm.
We are looking at, how can the sales reps be out in the market? How can they be engaging and touching the local advertisers? Local accounts and local spends are what we actually have control over. And so our focus for our best move was a total market coverage package that included print online on our website, an email to our audience that really was kind of an old school package sales blitz. And we went to market with the packages, with each account rep having assigned accounts, as well as expectations for new business and, new business development. We have done this. We did this late 25 and already again for 2026. And they have call times. Old school, pick up the phone, dial, call, talk to people 2 hours a day, Tuesday mornings and Thursday afternoons, where they're in the office and we're doing, cookies and ice cream and pizza and donuts. And we're expecting them to sit in, a big bullpen and make phone calls and ring the bell when somebody sells something and wins. And then we, realized the weather was turning and it was nice, pretty fall days. And so we actually did streetscaping, and we would take, divide into teams, and 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, and walk up and down and door knock in, shopping centers and in our downtown area, actual cold calling customers. So when I say that we took a step back, we went old school, and we really focused on getting in front of customers with a cost-effective package that gave them total coverage to reach advertisers on multiple platforms and to get the best results. It's all about ROI. So while we are doing tremendous things with AI, Kevin Barrier would be pleased. And, we're planning on taking the AI challenge, and we're using all of that for prospecting and proposal building. We still believe that getting out and meeting a customer where they are and, giving them opportunities at a price point that even the small mom and pops can afford, made a difference for us in 2025. And we saw the exact same thing into 6 figures into 2026.
Well, and so there's a lot to unpack there, and it sounds like such an
Yes.
intriguing best move. But so thank you for that, Connie. Brittany, I wanted to ask you, what was Connie said that it had a tremendous effect, but what was that effect? Did it have a monetary push, or 'cause there's a lot of community building in there? There's a lot of
Yeah,
interesting results.
yeah, I think it also really helped bring the team together and just create some good excitement and synergy among the team as we went out and partnered with each other and went out on sales calls. I typically try to partner reps maybe that don't spend as much time together with each other and look at people's different strengths. So I think that was really impactful as well. I think for me, one of the big things is a lot of times we go out and we have so many products and we go out and we sell these specific products to our advertisers. But with this package, it's a multi kind of approach. So we're not going back to them time and time again. We were able to kind of get a nicer, frequent, long term buy. And some of the packages we had, we could even include some of our special sections. If they bought so many and signed on with this program, they got a discount. So getting people to commit earlier on for the year, I think was a big success. And the main thing I think, which that does, is create better time management for the sales team, right? Because we're always going back and we always have these products and things. And this alleviated that time of going back to the same people when you can just get the buy up front. And yeah, I think they had some fun with it. I mean, at the beginning, they didn't really like having to do the 2 hour dollar for dollars with everybody. But I think as we got into it, they heard what, some people might be saying and was effective and working, and they learned from each other. And it was overall pretty successful.
Well,
It was a great, as Brittany says, a great training mechanism for sales reps who, might be newer to the market or, came in during the pandemic and didn't
Right.
actually do that, cold calling, door knocking with people that maybe are more legacy reps that have that experience. And so is being able to partner them and get them to feel comfortable about it and be less intimidated by the idea of walking into a business that they may not know the person. As, as you said, an example of what did this do? As I said, for us, it helped us, really make that last quarter. It helped
Mhm,
us for moving into 2026 because we sell, long term contracts. These are 12-month contracts with basically a 6-month evaluation. The
mhm.
reps should be meeting with their clients every month to talk about new creative, results. What do what do they possibly need to change? What are, how are their goals and expectations changing and evolving? And so it's a chance for them to build a long term relationship with clients that they may not have had in the past. Um, but it
Well,
also, uh, it is a situation where now we're going into a month with the pipeline partially full instead of starting out every single month. That's the kind of historically the truth about newspapers. Every single day we start with a blank piece of paper and we start all over again and we start from here and move up. And this gives us that cushion also helps reps and customers that may not have done digital in the past, who may not be quite as savvy. One of our clients that James met on one of the streetscape walking days was a grooming service,
mhm.
and they're not somebody who would typically have been on our radar. Smaller account starting up, and this gives them the chance to actually try several different things and see what works best for their business. So it's a win for both the reps and the newspaper, our revenue, and for the clients.
Yeah, I totally get that, and what really strikes me is the fact that you can develop a more consultative approach. I mean, in if you're starting from scratch every month, basically, you have to go back, as Brittany said, talk to
Right.
those same people over and over, always with your hand out. And
Correct.
by creating that longer term framework, you can go in and say, what's working? What's not? How can we work together to adjust? And so I think no one likes to be asked over and over for money. So
Right.
it's kinda nice to say, "Okay,
And no one
here's."
likes to ask over and over again for money.
And no one likes to be asked. Yes, exactly.
Right.
So it's it
Both
a
sides.
and so I'm curious because Frederick has such a great, I mean, it's a strong metro and growing region, but it has a robust downtown, but it also has a great sense of place. Like people really identify with Frederick as a location. And so how much, and Connie, you have this great perspective because you see a lot of the different publications within the Ogden diaspora, I guess. How much of the success is really due to that kind of like feeling of locale and like Frederick pride versus maybe if you've tried this blitz, and I imagine you have, in other more sort of scattered places that maybe don't lend itself to the streetscape approach and so forth.
So, very interesting. Of course, we have papers in Northern Virginia, we have papers in West Virginia, where I'm sitting right now today. And the same approach really does work. It's scalable. It is scalable for a market because, going downtown and walking door to door is a lot of fun in Frederick. Martinsburg doesn't have that same, small downtown feel, but it has groups and areas of businesses and
Mhm.
locations and verticals. I mean, you can do the same exact approach and say, I'm going after healthcare. I'm going after restaurants. It is a situation where it does boil down a lot to the management, and I, give Brittany kudos for that because, it's managing the leads and the prospects and making sure that there's enough for each rep to actually, you know, get into. This is, like I said, this is account building. Um, you know, and so no matter where you are, I think that this approach works.
Well, and so Brittany, I wanted to get into some of those logistics and mechanics because you're the person on the ground. So Connie talked about the need to have that pipeline of leads or prospects coming in, and you also talked about kind of building camaraderie when you're doing your dialing for dollars, and just the way that reps learn from one another. And Connie and I go way back. So in the Wayback Machine, I remember being a
Yes.
classified rep and probably on rotary phones, you're right.
Yeah.
And but hearing how everyone else was pitching, and that was really instructive. And I think sometimes when we get too digitally focused, we think, oh, emails are there, but as a person who's horrible at email, like all those things kind of pass through. So on that sort of nuts and bolts granular level, as a manager kind of working this in, how do you get the prospects, get the reps excited, and also kind of change that paradigm? Because nowadays people think, oh, I'll just send a blast email out and business will come my way. So how did you do it?
Well, that's a good question. So we do have a lot of reps that are very comfortable with email. And they prefer that method probably. So we did that was a little bit of a learning curve. But we did a lot of the process was reaching out and I think really just talking through the sales pitch, that call open. What are we really saying on that call to get somebody to want to set up a meeting for us to then go in and talk about these programs? Because it really is more of a face-to-face meeting, or that was at least our intent. So I think just really talking through that and getting them comfortable. And then we tweaked it as we went, right? Like what was working, we would just meet as a team pretty regularly and talk through that. Um, so I also think, I mean, the leads was the most important thing because we're always like, okay, we got to find a good group of people to call. And honestly, the main initiative with this program was to go after new money. And
Mhm.
the way we defined that was somebody who hasn't done business in 6 months or more or never, right? So obviously we pulled in active reports. We used AI, as Connie mentioned. We pulled verticals through AI. I used chamber directory lead lists.
The best of best
The
list.
best of
The
bests
most
Yeah.
are
important thing that we
huge.
have.
Yes. I mean, there are hundreds and thousands of businesses on those nomination lists. So we really kind of looked at those. We have a CRM system where I can actually upload leads. So we had call lists that we set up and built into our advertising system that they actually have to work through the system. So I can see at any point where they are with those leads. But yeah, we also use social media a lot. I mean, in Frederick, there are a lot of really great group pages that have
Okay.
thousands and thousands of followers that people post on out by the hour, and they always are looking for like best referrals for like a plumber, electrician, or new businesses opening up, ribbon cuttings. And there are so many leads just on some of those group pages. So I always try to pull them off and put them into a database and get them out to the teams as well. But yeah, I think that's the key, is really making sure they have plenty of people to call on and just working through the pitch, right? To get people excited to want to at least sit down and have a conversation about the new program.
Yeah,
So,
and I wanna
and
I oh, go ahead, Connie,
I was going to say, I think Britt's missing the one thing that you, of course, will know about me. I am one of the most competitive human beings on the face of the planet. I know that is surprising to some people, but really getting the teams working, you know, overall as a group, but also taking each team and setting goals for them,
Right.
giving awards
mhm.
and spiffs, and it's always the joke that if you got the most sales today, you're going to get a free lunch. If you had the least sales today, you're going to get a free lunch with Connie. Um, and you
That
know,
creates motivation right there, right?
yeah, see,
Right, right there.
they are motivated. It's amazing. Um, but again, sales is all about the enthusiasm you bring to the table. And that's what this whole package is about. It's about giving the customer a great deal, a great opportunity to get back into the paper, to get back in front of our audience, because that's what we're selling. We're selling an audience. We're not selling an ad on a piece of paper. We're selling an audience and results. And that, getting the team excited about that and competing against each other and getting prizes. And then, for us, it actually became a corporate initiative. And, one of our sales reps actually won throughout the whole company. So it really
Oh, that's
is.
exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. But you can never underestimate, how much support the manager has to bring to the table.
Well, and
Right.
I think, if you're in sales, I feel like most of all of our sales reps, they want to win. They want to be the
Mhm.
best. And I think when we did have the bigger contest associated with it across our company, it really raised the level of, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to win. And everybody really pulled together to make that happen for sure.
Well, and I think you're right, the competitive kicking into somebody's competitive nature and then also providing them the tools. It's one thing to be like, okay, go get him, Tiger, you got to win, and not providing that wraparound of like, here's a lead pipeline. And one of the things that I wanted to pick up on, you talked about the best of the best. And so I wanted to talk about like that lead ecosystem and and Britt, you were talking about, that you're using maybe Facebook groups or social media groups to kind of surface what could often be hidden leads. I think traditionally reps are looking at people who are advertising in other places
Right.
and trying to pull them into a different marketing venue. But it feels like you were kind of maybe plowing some virgin fields in some respects because those people you didn't know if they were advertising elsewhere. So can you kind of talk about that idea of new money and that ecosystem approach?
You want to start? Or
Okay. So, again, for most newspapers, especially, here in MDDC, Best of or Reader's Choice is a huge initiative. It is a revenue driver. It is a community pride piece. It is, it protects our franchise. It
Mhm.
makes what we do matter. And so, those accounts sometimes only interact with the newspapers once a year.
Right.
They're not necessarily, people always say, "Oh, it's those people that advertise that win." That's just not the case. We hold a very transparent contest, and it's not always advertisers who win. But we were not always doing the best job of capturing those people and going back and
Mm.
getting in front of them, and that's what this kind of package approach did was it made us say, okay, we're going to go and we're going to talk to all of these people in, these categories, in these groups, and, build a relationship, and B, actually, contact, because,
Mhm.
in some cases there has been minimal contact. So, that for us became a fishing pond.
Mhm.
That's probably the best way to describe it. It is a fishing pond of businesses that matter, in this case in Frederick, but the same is for Loudon, the same is for Martinsburg.
Mhm.
Um, and Brittany is the one who has to do all the hard work. We do have a front end system and a CRM. And we feed lists up through that. We sort through there and we assign through there. But then she has the other duty, which is after, you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever the qualified time is, if the rep has not made progress, reassigning them
Mm.
reassigning them out so that all of these people in in this new database, are contacted. Because not everybody's going to win the first time. And, it used to be old school was, you knocked on 10 doors and you sold one ad. And, now it could be 100 doors.
Right.
And, and so it's really important to make sure that you are constantly, refreshing for the sales reps to have good leads so that they can spend their time selling. Um, and that way they are actually using their time to, bring in revenue, which is
Yeah.
what we want and what they want.
Right. And one of the things too I'll mention that we kind of do with the lead generation is I guess you could in essence call it a bounty board, right? So say we have this list of advertising leads and they're assigned to a particular rep and we give them up to 3, 4 weeks to, make moves or advance that forward, and if they can't, we kind of sit in a room and we talk about it and we're like, okay,
Mhm.
James has tried this account for this long, does anybody else have a relationship, know anything, who wants to try it, and we kind of divvy them up. And I think that's been a really good practice because, as sales reps, we can be very territorial about like our
Right.
territory and our accounts. And I do feel like we've got a great team who's very open. The more you communicate, I feel like the better we work as a team. And if you've tried somebody for a while and you just can't get in the door, that's okay. It could be a personality difference. It could be the luck of the day, right? It doesn't really matter. But I think that was the thing that we did that's been really helpful. And we're continuing to do that with other projects and just kind of talking about things to see who might be the better one to open the door, which I think is great. And then as far as like the social media leads you had mentioned, yeah, I mean, I think for this program particularly, the number one goal was to go after non-traditional advertising, right? People who are not running with the newspaper to try to open a door, technically selling them some traditional stuff, but with some shiny digital too. But that was the challenge because like you said, reps naturally want to go after everybody they see running on TV or they see
Yeah.
billboards, and that's just a natural thing because you can say, hey, I saw your ad, do you want to run it in here? But I think our goal was to push them a little harder to try to open doors with new people, and I think it was pretty successful. I think we got a good bit of new business out of it, and we're continuing to use that in our day-to-day practice.
Right. And I think that's the important thing there is, our strategic goal for this year is account count.
Mhm.
Making sure that the reps have a solid book of business and that they are touching enough accounts, to justify what they need to make. And so we're really focused on growing new accounts, building new accounts, not relying on the same accounts going back, like you said, with your hand out. We're looking at trying to grow that pool of people in addition to taking this package and really making it a part of our daily sales.
Yeah.
We're still doing call blitzes even now. We still try to get in at least 2 hours a week of call blitz time because it's focused, concentrated time. And it's also time that, that everybody's in the office and can, work as a team together. But, to know that they have this package, this total market coverage package available, in their toolbox when they go out to sell ads. And as Brittany said, we've increased that to include some special sections if they're doing it ahead, so that we're not going back and selling,
Right.
month after month after month, the new product of the week. This
Right.
now we're actually focused on, hey, these are you want to do best of, and that you're going to want to do the graduation tab, and that the kids expo is important to you, so we're getting those sold and committed ahead of time, so that, I mean, back in as you mentioned, previous times, people had a contract and
Right.
we held them to the contract. We got away from that. Now we're not asking so much as a contract as a commitment.
Mhm.
We're going to give the best rates to the people that are also committed to working with us. And so it's really kind of a frequency buy and a reward for those that are frequently in print or
Yeah.
in online or in the newsmail.
Well, and I would imagine for a small business owner, like, having a concerted a plan for the
Right.
year to say,
Mhm.
"This is how I'm gonna use that spend." They don't have to say, "Oh, well, I'm not sure what's coming up later, so I'm not gonna think about it." So I wanted to ask you all about what's involved in that sort of marketing in that total market package, because of course, you have the Frederick News Post as a publication, you have events that you do regionally, you have digital ads because you have a full service digital agency that's part of you. So when you're going in and pitching, sort of off the street, what what's in your toolbox?
The needs
That's what I
analysis.
was gonna say.
Ooh,
The
love that.
Yes.
most
Music to my
important.
ears.
Yes, that is the most important thing
Right.
because this package is a great door opener.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm,
It is a door opener. It's to get your foot in the door. It's to say, for only $800 a month, you're going to get all these great things. Um, but you know what? For some clients, that might be too much.
right.
Or for a lot of clients, that's nowhere near what they have for a marketing budget and what the goals that they've set for themselves and their company. And so it really is about sitting down and talking to the customer. I did an interview just this morning where I said, selling is more about listening than talking. And
Mhm.
as you know, I talk a lot. So that was a
But you
hard one.
listen a lot too.
Um, but it really is about listening to what the customer needs. What are their pain points? What are they trying to do? What is their plan for the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? Are they moving? Are they going out of business? Are they expanding? And so you can put together a great plan once you know more. And this is kind of like a starting point. And that's what
Mhm,
I think, really matters. This brought, new people to the table. It brought new conversations. It brought new discussions. It brought new commitments. It brought money in the pipeline. All of those things are really great. But it does not change the fact that you need to sit down and have a conversation with the client to know what matters to them, what they need, where they're spending money right now. I always go back to tell me about yourself, tell me about your customers, tell me about, where those customers come from, tell me about your budget and how much is a customer worth to you.
mhm,
Because once you find that information out, now you can put together a, a good, solid plan for them.
right.
And it probably has more prongs than just, you know, a print ad or run of site ads. It's probably going to touch many different facets. And as you said, we do events, we do a lot of fun events. This weekend, we have our annual Fiber Fest, which is for knitting and sheep and alpacas and llamas. And
One
uh,
day I need to get up to Frederick to be there.
oh,
I'm
it
always
is
busy,
amazing. It is an
but it always sounds like so
amazing
much
event.
fun.
Don Ratson from our Don Dayhoff from our team built the Fiber Fest completely on her own, and she has done a fantastic job with it. It's a passion project, but it brings a lot of people to the table that we would not have relationships with.
Mhm,
And so, each one of the things that we do, as you mentioned, our digital marketing services, a huge part of our business. We're a full service digital agency. Those are very, different relationships, but some of them come from that first initial walk in the door, cold call, and find out, what does the customer need? Maybe they're already doing it. They're not satisfied with who they're using. But unless you ask the questions, you're not going to know.
right. Yeah, and I know we're running short on time, so I wanna, kinda close out by asking you about community because the through line that struck me about, the your best move and just the way the Frederick News Post kind of operates in the region is that, you're building a community, and that can look different based on a lot of different factors. The fact that you are pulling in people who are not readers of the publication or are not interacting with, the Frederick News Post is like, I'm a hardcore news reader. They're still part of your community. They're still offering up something to provide to not only the group, but you have something to provide and they have something to provide to the community. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on, how this sales effort really builds community and where that centers the Frederick News Post in community.
Well, first, ads are content. Okay.
Mhm.
It's something that, I always remind people of is that, what they're putting out there, people are reading it. It's important. As you brought up, maybe not everybody reads a newspaper every day. I hope that's not true because Frederick News Post is an awesome paper. I think we do a great job in our community and I hope people are reading it, whether it's in print or online or picking it up, when they're sitting at the doctor's office. We engage people in a lot of different ways, whether they're meeting with us, over some fuzzy sheep on Saturday, or at one of our kids expos or senior expos. Um, but what this, what our sales reps bring to the table is that they are out in the community interacting with business owners, movers and shakers, small startups. One of our reps this week got invited to sit on a marketing committee for one of the smaller towns in Frederick County. We're seen as partners. We're seen as a part of the community. For many years, I lived there. Jordy Wilson, our publisher, lives there.
Mhm.
We take great pride in what we do. We take great pride in being a part of the community and a part of the business community. We partner with the chamber. We partner with the different networking groups.
We recently just have been partnering with the chambers in the region to produce and host lunch and learn seminars where we're
Mhm.
talking about different products and services and making sure that they're up to date on maybe new AI search products or different things. So I think we hopefully are seen as a resource in the community as well to keep people kind of up to date. So yeah, I think a lot of the community partnerships have been really great and strong.
Yeah,
And I think it all works together because you need all the aspects of a news media organization to support the community and create an environment where people are connecting, and I love that you've done it in connecting in a real life way. So physically going to see people, having conversations, getting to know them. I think that's the proverbial town square idea of news media. And I'm really appreciative that you guys are kicking it old school and bringing that back, and that it's brought you great success. So, congratulations on your best move. I can't wait to see what you do in 2026. You always have a terrific best move. And we'll look forward to hearing about it then. So, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to 5 Dubs with Rebecca Snyder. Please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review wherever you download your podcasts so that others can find us. What do you want to know about local journalism? Email me at rsnyder, SNYDER, at mddcpress.com. Interested in supporting our podcast and journalism? Please donate to our 501c3 Press Foundation. Find out more and see the full episode list and show notes at www.5-dubs.com.